2023 Volkswagen Taos. This is the mid-grade SE. Today I'm going to tell you if it's worth the price. At over $32,000, this cornflower blue with the black wheels, the 18-inch wheels, looks pretty sharp. I'm not going to lie. You can get it with a two-tone roof. And this Taos has a 1.5 liter 4-cylinder turbo, 158 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque. It is mated to an 8-speed automatic on this front-wheel drive model, but you can get all-wheel drive on every single trim level. There are 3 trim levels, and that replaces the 8-speed auto for a 7-speed dual clutch. And it also replaces the torsion beam rear suspension back here for a better multi-link setup. Other than that, from the outside, the Taos is a compact crossover. You could say subcompact crossover, but when we get inside, you'll see how roomy it is. And it does have fake exhaust tips, little enclosures, but as I found out the last time I had this car for review, I don't mind the fake exhaust tips. It is done very well, and you can't even tell that they're fake, to be honest, unless you get really, really close. So we're gonna go ahead and pop the trunk here. And this is essentially a glorified hatchback, you know, in the form of a crossover. How much space we have back here is probably class leading. I could probably fit 3 or 4 Kirks back here. And then we have a spare tire, something you don't always see in cars nowadays, so that's great to see. The seats do fold, but they do not fold flat, but at least we do have a little pass-through back there, and the latches are really easy to get to for the top anchors for car seats. Now, this model doesn't have a digital close, but you can see the SE badge here for the mid-grade. Taos lettering always looks a little strange because it's so small on the back of that large liftgate. And the back here, plastic all the way around. Well, at least it's a soft touch down here for your armrest. We do have this Cloud Tech synthetic leather in here. On the top grade, I think you might actually get leather, and then on the base grade, you get a mix between cloth and this Cloud Tex. So let's go ahead and get in. This has the optional panel roof, which is quite amazing because there are not a lot of competitors in the segment that have a panel roof, let alone one that's this massive. But we have cup holders down here, something that the HR-V, when it got redesigned, doesn't even have the option of a fold-down cup holder, so I appreciate that, or even an armrest. Look at this. This seat is set up for me at 6'1", and we have mat pockets on each side. Check out my leg room. This is incredible. This is probably segment leading as well for leg space back here. Volkswagen is not shy in including rear vents. That's kind of rare for this segment as well. We also have a USB-C back here for the passengers on this SE grade. Let's go and shut the door. Pretty solid door slam, to be honest. Volkswagen here on the B pillar, and we have these silver roof rails and a glossy black shark fin antenna. So unlike the hard touch, this is actually soft touch all the way around here on the driver door. And we have heated side mirrors as well as blind spot monitor here on this SE grade. Now, we also have a lumbar control here, which is on the SE grade, and these seats are actually very comfortable. They do get kind of hot sitting in the sun, but what seat doesn't? That is leather and synthetic leather. We also have this leather wrapped steering wheel with a flat bottom. Decent stitching. It's actually kind of messy, to be honest, but what do you expect for a car in this entry-level segment? So let's go ahead and turn or shut the door here. We have the light control. That's very basic. That's it. That's all you have over here is light control, and then hard touch everywhere on the dash. Even this part is hard touch. Down here, hard touch. It's a plastic circus on the inside, but at least it's pleasing to the eye, so we'll give Volkswagen that. We have an 8-inch screen here that is also available on the SEL grade. The SEL grade just includes built-in navigation, but when you have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, this is going to do just fine. On the base grade is a smaller screen. Luckily, we have a volume control knob as well as a tuning knob. I appreciate that. And we also have the golden rule, or the golden standard here for climate control, which that's something you don't see a lot in Volkswagen cars nowadays, is actual rotary dials here for fan control, as well as AC, temperature, and then fan direction as well. And you also have heated seats and a heated steering wheel in this model. You have a digital screen behind the steering wheel that is upgraded on the top SEL grade to, I think, a 10-inch screen, but I'm perfectly happy here. Now, my miles per gallon is sinking, but it's not hard to see 30 miles per gallon in town and up to 40 miles per gallon on the highway on this front wheel drive model. All wheel drive models will of course have to suffer a little bit when it comes to fuel economy at the expense of utility. We have 2 USB-Cs down here as well as a 12 volt and a wireless charger for the SE grade. Lifting this up, we have a felt bottom cargo space as well as 2 cup holders down here. They're kind of awkward to reach because you can see my arm, unless you have a tall cup that sits up 2 feet high, it's kind of awkward to reach for your cups. Now, I mentioned the panel roof, but guess what? It also opens up, which man, this thing is absolutely huge. I can't say that enough. And look at the beautiful palm trees here in South Florida, shining us with their radiance. And I just love that function. I'll also close the shade for you guys so you get an idea of what that looks like, and I'll speed it up for you. It takes absolutely forever for this shade to open and close, but can't really complain because this is probably one of the biggest highlights about this Taos. The shifter here is pretty big and meaty, to be honest, but when you slam it into drive, it kind of likes to go down into sport mode. So you have to look here if it's in the sport or drive mode. And while I'm at it, since I'm talking about sporting, I'm going to go ahead and play 0 to 60 for you guys. Taos 0 to 60. We're going to try that again. Taos 0 to 60. And there it is, 60 and 8.14. This I think it's fun. His tires worse there. There's 60. I mean, 8.37. It's not terribly quick, but it's not slow by any means. Pulling away in the Taos, it does have turbo lag, and it gives it some actual character. Most of its competitors in its segment have naturally aspirated engines, and they're very predictable. This thing smacks you with a little bit of turbo lag, a smacking of torque, and it makes me smile. And do I think it's great for this segment in terms of power and torque? Actually, I do. I think it is one of the best things about this vehicle because a lot of its competitors are just slouches. And here in this vehicle, as I showed in the 0 to 60, you do have the turbo lag, but man, you put the pedal down and it speeds along quite well. So I'm happy with the powertrain here, and I'd be interested to see what it's like with the 7-speed DCT. I think speed-wise, they're about the same, and no one's behind me. I'm gonna hit the brakes here around the turn. Yep, it feels okay. It's definitely predictable, and that's all you can ask for. Predictability is important when it comes to the safety and the stopping of this vehicle. But I'm gonna do a little U-turn here. Oh wait, that bike's coming right at me. So I'm not gonna do a U-turn here. We'll do the roundabout, and I'll tell you what the steering feel feels like in here. My hands are happy on this steering wheel, I will say that. So let's flip it around the UE. Can't go too crazy because there's a side-by-side on the other side of the U-turn. It feels light and wanting to play. So it is pretty lively. I'm happy about that. Steering's kind of numb, but the handling is quite good for a lifted hatchback per se. Now the radar cruise control in here works well enough. I don't believe it is standard on the base S grade, for example, nor is the like blind spot monitor, for example, but you can get all-wheel drive on that base grade. And the base grade comes in about $5,000 less than this mid SE grade. And no, you don't have the option of the sunroof here, which adds an additional $1,500 or so. And you get the black wheels too with that package. It's like, this car is not worth over $30,000. So I'll give it to you guys. I'll be frank. I wouldn't spend more than $27,000, $28,000 for this vehicle. So that pretty much limits it only to the base grade. And that's where, like, you know, this is an entry-level vehicle for Volkswagen now that they've killed out like the Jetta hatchback. So affordability is what's important here, and also fuel economy. So like I said, up to 40 miles per gallon on the highway is where this thing is going to succeed and be better than a lot of its rivals out there. But unfortunately, at the price point, it just doesn't do that well, especially in this SE grade or the SEL grade, which is about $35,000. That's an absolute no buy. Just even, gosh, these tires are so bad. Even just a mild press of the throttle mid-turn, I'm starting to do burnout. Speaking of all-wheel drive and added traction, so many of its competitors have that standard, like the Crosstrek, like the Mazda CX-30, and the Mazda, for example, is a way better interior in comparison. So does like the Honda HR-V. But the #1 competitor, I guess, to everyone at this point is going to be the Corolla Cross Hybrid, because that gets like 40 plus miles per gallon. It's the quickest in the segment. That's not the Mazda 2.5 turbo, but that also costs a lot more, around $35,000. So man, Toyota came out swinging with its 2-liter hybrid. nearly 200 horsepower, all-wheel drive standard, and you can get it for under $30,000. It's an absolute home run, and I just feel bad for the Taos. The only Taos that is viable at this point from a bargain, or at least from a price competitive standpoint, is the base S grade of this vehicle, and it gives up blind spot monitor, it gives up the availability of the panel roof, it gives up heated seats and heated steering wheel, it gets a smaller screen. So something that did impress me though is that this base sound system, I know you can get an upgraded one on the SEL grade, but the base sound system in here is actually pretty decent. I wasn't getting the basses washed out at higher volumes, and it didn't shake the car hardly at all, and you didn't hear the plastic rattling that much, and the bass still sounded good. Also, at modest highway speeds, 50 miles an hour, I'm already hearing wind noise around the A-pillar and mirror area. So I don't get a lot from the ground though, so that's good insulation from road noise and tire noise, but you're always going to be reminded with that wind noise. And going about 65 miles an hour here, I think ride quality is perfectly acceptable for this class. Even around town, am I hitting some bumps along the way here? Like, I'm happy, even though we have a torsion beam in the back and the all-wheel drive gets the better multi-link in the rear, like, I still think the suspension on here is adequate, if not pleasing. Also, if you plan on buying this and you have hot summers, which most places in the United States do, I'm happy to report that the AC works really well in here. It's 91 degrees, and I only have it on 2 fan speed right now, and the car is pretty chilly. So well done. And it is on max AC, which I only keep it on, but I just love the simplicity of just boom, switch into max AC. There's nothing like temperature control or dual climate control, which dual climate control is optional on the or available on the SEL, for example. But I just like the simplicity here of the climate control. Straight to the point and satisfactory. If you don't want the complexity or be waiting around for a Corolla Cross Hybrid and you want good fuel economy, this is probably your best option in this subcompact crossover segment. If you need tons of cargo capacity, this Taos is also going to crush it there. Probably the best in segment if you plan on bringing people in the back. We also have rear vents back there for your passengers, as well as lots of legroom. So there are very good qualities to this vehicle, especially from a spaciousness perspective, as well as a fuel economy perspective. But those are all things that you can get on the base S grade. I'm not sure about the rear vents on the S grade, but the spaciousness, of course, is going to be there, and the fuel economy is there as well. So let me know down below, guys, which grade do you think is best for this, or which vehicle would you be picking over the Volkswagen Taos in the subcompact crossover segment? I just mentioned a few, but there are so many in this segment, and unfortunately, the Taos doesn't do a whole lot here to stand above the rest. So let's go pedal down. Yep, didn't pick the right gear, but you know, we're passing BMWs, so heck yeah, turbocharged, let's go. I'll catch you guys in the next one. If you enjoyed it, smash the like button and stay tuned for more car reviews like this. Have a great day and peace.